Block'em Sock'em. Yes, this is the latest Evercade game of the month, and Block'em Sock'em is the game. It's a puzzle game from Second Dimension Games and YouTuber the immortal John Hancock. In the game, you play as a cartoon version of John and toss multicolored bricks upwards to destroy other bricks that match the same color. The game gives me a slight vibe of Wario's Woods, if you remember that, from the era of the NES and Super Nintendo. Mostly because it's a puzzle game where you directly control a character who is manipulating the colored blocks that you are trying to eliminate. After that though, I think the games are quite different. I think I've played a few games that have that idea, but certainly in the case of this game, Block'em Sock'em, it just feels that you could have used a cursor to move the blocks. The game doesn't put a time limit on you to figure out the puzzles, which is a nice change for a puzzle game, so there'll be no time crunch to solve things before a well fills up, as you'll have seen on several puzzle games that I've recently featured on the Puzzle Game Power Hour series that I've been doing on this channel. Check it out with lots of other puzzle games if you haven't seen it already. Now, what there is instead is that you only have a certain number of moves you can make to complete each puzzle. It's a short game, although very quickly you'll learn that you have to figure out the precise order to tackle several of the levels, or you'll run out of moves. The game was easy enough to beat, with it only taking me just over half an hour, whilst also watching a TV show at the same time. But by the end of it, I still felt that some of the puzzles were just solved by good fortune rather than me actually having solved them myself by knowing what I was doing. The game is just so easy that it can be beaten by trial and error as much as it can be beaten by skill. One of the things that makes this unique to puzzle games is that you match colours that are at the top of the screen, like on Bust a Move or Puzzle Bobble. I suppose with a game where you play a character running around would need you to be at the bottom. The game is super short though, and actually feels kind of unfinished, I'm sorry to say. There is a title screen but no options, and there is only one mode of play, which is about, I think, 25 levels long. I feel like they could have added some sort of story or purpose to the game, since you are controlling a character. When you start the game, you do get a screen that explains how it works, but as much as I don't like tutorials in games, I think they should have actually added one here just in the first couple of levels to make it clear how the mechanics of the game work. I also found that the game seemed to either glitch out or go wrong a few times, which was a bit disappointing. To complete a level, the idea isn't that you get rid of every block in a stage, but that you leave around 3 or 4, and this is just a little bit odd. I think it's that you have to leave one of each colour because for some reason you sometimes throw a block at a colour and they don't swap. I think it'll only swap the colour you're holding if there are at least 2 more of the colour that you're throwing at. But to be honest, I've just finished the game, and the fact that I'm not completely sure shows that 1, it's not super clear, but also it doesn't really need to be. If you do wipe out a colour, the block you hold is now free to throw at any colour, but again it would seem you can only pick up a new colour if you throw it at stacks of 2. And I'm not sure why. Why can't you just throw it at one colour and then collect that one back and delete the other one in the process? I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but I couldn't fathom it. I did find a couple of instances where the blocks would just infinitely scroll across the screen and they were perpetually stuck. Now, I'm sure this was that the game was glitching or maybe a little bit broken. Perhaps I had caused a condition where the level became unwinnable. Now, you will find that levels are unwinnable often, not just because you don't have enough moves, but because there are no moves that you're able to make with the colour in your hand and you're unable to reach any that match it. I think when this happens, the game should come up with a screen to tell you that you failed. I think this would be preferable rather than that you just have to keep tossing the blocks that you've got in your hand until you run out of moves and get the game over screen. Or, of course, once you realise that you can't win a level, you can reset the level at any point by pressing the start and B buttons together. Now, I think this may have been designed as a Mega Drive game, just because I'm sure I saw it say that you had to press Start and C together, and obviously on the Evercade there is no C button. This is common on Evercade games though, so I'm not too fussed about it. I think a pause menu with an option to restart a level would have been better than having to press a combo of Start and B, just because if you hadn't seen that instruction at the start of the game, you'd have been completely stuck on some of these levels that seem to glitch out. When I did find that there was this glitch of a block infinitely swiping across the screen, I restarted the level to find the first time I tossed the block, it would instantly start swiping again. Now this definitely had to be some kind of glitch. Hopefully, with a few months until this will be out, probably at the start of next year on Indie Heroes Collection 4, maybe they can sort out that bug and patch it. I'd suggest maybe using a save state feature when you get to a new level though, just in case this happens, and hopefully you'll be able to get past it. I was able to get past it by resetting a level a couple of times, but it was something that was a bit weird that I'm sure some people may get stuck at. So, as a free game of the month, this was a short and an okay game, but I think it needs a little more cooking time to become a classic puzzler. The graphics are simple but effective, and the game is easy to play, even if it does need a bit more ironing and polishing in my opinion. It'll be an inoffensive addition to what will become the Indie Heroes Collection number 4 next year. Now, if you were still enjoying last month's Game of the Month, The Curse of Ilmore Bay, I'd honestly say it's okay to give this one a miss, as there's probably only about half an hour of gameplay here. I'm sure some people could probably speedrun it in 15 minutes or less if they wanted to. Do make sure you check out my review of The Curse of Ilmore Bay on the channel. It is from the same team that made this, and I think it's a more solid game of the month if you still have it. If you didn't get it last month, then by all means get this, because it's your only option. Now make sure you smash that subscribe button here on the Geek Battle Gaming YouTube channel, as I will be here again next month to review the next game of the month as soon as it lands. So whether you've got this on the Evercade as the game of the month, or you're watching this review later with it being part of Indie Heroes Collection 4, hopefully the game review will still hold up, but truthfully I'd like to see them update it if they can. I think this also did just launch on the Atari VCS, and it may also be on some other platforms. I assume Mega Drive, either as a download or maybe you can get a physical cart. So anyway, that's going to wrap things up here. If you haven't done so already, once again, please smash that subscribe button. Check out www.xstreamed.tv/gaming, where I'll have a written article version of today's review. And with that, until next time, stay safe, always stay extremed, and ciao for now. Boom, and we're off the air.